When it comes to the Advent and Christmas season, Mark's gospel tends to get overlooked. He sees no need for extended genealogies like we find in Matthew and Luke. There are no angel visitations, nor shepherds watching their flocks by night like we find in Luke. There are no magi bringing gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh like we find in Matthew. There is no magnificent prologue of light shining in the darkness like we find in John. Instead, Mark gets down to business. He wastes no time and begins his gospel with Jesus as a full grown man. The beginning of the good news of Jesus Christ, as it is written in the prophet Isaiah. See, I am sending my messenger ahead of you, who will prepare your way. The voice of one crying out in the wilderness, prepare the way of the Lord, make his paths straight. And what I hear Mark saying in these opening verses is that preparing for the advent or arrival of Jesus is an active process. It's not something we simply pray about and wait expectantly to happen. We have work to do. Isaiah spells out this work quite clearly. He says we prepare the way of the Lord, meaning the Eternal One, or Jehovah in Hebrew. We prepare the way of the Lord by making straight in the desert a highway for our God. We are called to lift up valleys of despair and suffering. We are called to level mountains that stand in our way and prevent us from moving forward. We are called to smooth out uneven ground when life becomes a bumpy ride. We are called to sand off the rough edges of our personalities so that our words bring healing instead of hurt. And it is then and only then that God's glory will be revealed. God's holy light will shine brightly among us. And if we really want to prepare the way for Christ to be born in our midst, then this is the work we are called to do, according to Isaiah and Mark. Well, I don't know how you feel about all this, but it makes me feel a little bit tired. Oh, so tired. It makes me feel overwhelmed and insignificant. I look at the war in Ukraine, which is in its second year, and the suffering of the Ukrainian people is so great that many of us have looked away from what is happening there. I look at the war between Israel and Hamas, and I see the suffering and hurt of both Israelis and Palestinians, and my heart aches for peace. I look at what's going on in other corners of the world and in our nation and in our city, and it makes me wonder what difference I can make. I do not have the strength to fill all the valleys of despair and suffering that exist in our world. I feel insignificant and helpless as I think of all the mountains of obstacles that prevent peace from being birthed in every nation across the globe. Life feels like a bumpy ride for so many people, and I don't have the strength nor the resources to level out all that uneven ground. I think you get my point. If you're feeling the same way I am these days, I have a strategy for how we should prepare the way of the Lord this Advent season. This strategy is one that is tried and true for me, and hopefully it will be tried and true for you as well. When life feels overwhelming, when we wonder how we can make a difference in the world around us, it's essential that we start small and work our way outward. So instead of participating in Isaiah's road construction project, where we fill in valleys, level mountains, and smooth out all the rough places, perhaps we should think of Advent as a spiral journey. You see, we tend to think of Advent as a straight line, right? It's illuminated by 4 candles as we make our way toward the celebration of the birth of Jesus. But if we think of Advent as a spiral instead, it changes the way we approach this season. And we begin this spiral journey in the center. And if you only have the strength to work on yourself because you are in the center, then just work on yourself this Advent season. It's perfectly okay. Maybe you just need to rest. Maybe you need to do a little pampering and self-care so that you can reignite the flame that once burned brightly in you. If this is the case, then prepare the highway that's within you and know that it is enough. But maybe you're feeling a little bit stronger than that. If so, then journey outward on the spiral until it includes your family and friends. Resolve to do something this Advent that lets those closest to you know they are valued and loved. Focus on quality, not quantity. Handmade gifts are a beautiful gesture. So is inviting a friend out for coffee whom you haven't seen in a while. And if you need to do a little repair work on a relationship that has been strained recently, then do it. Advent is the perfect time for things such as these. Be fully present with those whom you love, and don't stress out about presents. Do you know what I mean? But maybe you're feeling a little bit stronger than that. And if so, then journey outward on the spiral until it includes the community which surrounds us. Volunteer your time with a charitable organization whose ministry you believe in. Remember to buy a few toys this week for our beloved Asheville Toy Drive. Support your local food bank. The world truly needs all the good that we can do. So do it if you have the strength and resources to serve those in need. And if you can't do it now, do it in the next year because those needs still continue. And if you don't have the strength to do this work, then give yourself permission to circle back on the spiral a little bit until you feel like you can move forward. Again, that's perfectly okay. But maybe you're feeling a little bit stronger than all of this. And if you are, consider yourself blessed. The light of Christ burns brightly within you. So then go a little further out on that spiral and find ways to make your light shine on a national and global level. None of us can solve all the world's problems. None of us can give birth to peace in war-torn countries all by ourselves. But we can make an impact. So use this Advent to do some research and find a way you can make a difference on a global scale. And if your heart is really hurting this holiday season as you watch the horrors unfold in Palestine and Israel, know that the Lutheran World Federation has been a helping and caring presence in the Holy Land for a very long time, especially among Palestinians. And there are organizations in these territories who could use whatever support you can give them. And if you want to know more, talk to me and I will point you in the right direction. So, as you can see, preparing for the advent or arrival of Jesus is an active process. And we need to engage in this process at whatever level we're capable of doing. Don't feel any shame if you can only work on the center of your Advent spiral. But if you feel like you can do more than this, take small steps outward. Make a difference in the lives of those around you. Fill one valley or a pothole, if that's all you can do. Level a mountain or maybe a tiny little hill, if that's all you can do. Mark is trying to tell us that Advent is an active process. So let us vow today to engage in this process at whatever level we can. Trust me, the world needs all the light that we can shine into it. So let's roll up our sleeves and get to work. Amen.